We're live. So, first few things, of course, it's not, um, my stream is really low quality right here for some reason. Of course, it's not financial advice, it's for educational purposes only. And also, I get a question a lot of if I buy the indicator, do I have to keep paying a subscription or do I have to update the levels? No, it does all that for you. So, once you purchase the indicator, you have all the time frames you want: monthly, weekly, daily, quarterly, yearly, 4 hour, whatever you want to run. All you do is toggle a switch under your studies and it changes it from a weekly pivot to a monthly pivot to a daily pivot to whatever you want to look at. So you have those levels. So yeah, you just buy it one time and it's yours forever. The second thing I'll touch on is our hourly SPX 0DTE. I will continue to post those in my Discord. And what we are learning as we go through the data is the first 2 hours are very important. The third hour decides your trade. So as we continue to grow that data and run those filters, and listen, when I'm putting that stuff out, that's all ran through an AI module that's coded that predicts all those analytics. Okay. And I give it random days all the time from the last 10 years worth of data. This is what it's calculated off of. I give it random SPX days all the time. I just describe what happened in the first hour bar, the second hour bar, and the third hour bar based off of my levels. And it gives you the metrics of where to trade and exactly what to sell or buy on the put and call side. And it gives you the percentages of win rate. It's really, really awesome. So if you're not checking that out, check it out. Yesterday, I only took one little butterfly trade. I held it through the close. I was going to get out. I was up a couple $100 2 or 3 times. And I just held it through the close. I ended up losing $50. I think my max loss on it was $280 was the risk. If it pinned, of course, it'd have been $1,245. That's all I did because the Secretary of Treasury was talking, and I did not want to be a part of that of any big way or shape or form. I didn't know how to affect the markets, so I stayed out of the way. NVIDIA earnings Wednesday after the close. Right now, the whole stock market is waiting on NVIDIA to see how it does. So keep that in mind. We had this bounce overnight. NVIDIA closed down yesterday, 7 days in a row, first time since 2022. So all that is very intriguing. I think that, right now they have a short-term plan for sure to get the yields down, the percentage, the rate. So they're working on that. I think there was a big drop overnight, and I think oil had a drop as well. We will look at that and discuss what's going on. The NQ is, of course, our favorite tool to trade. I've got my weekly levels posted for my subscribers. Make sure you have those on your charts, and you're using those right now in between the monthly levels, but I will just review the monthly levels here. So that way nothing gets muddied up with my paid versus free, and giving those people that are subscribed a way to see those weeklies. We knew 2 things. Once it breaks 885, we are no longer bullish until it gets above that level. I talked about that at length when we broke it. And now we're trading 29,337. If you're following the weeklies, you know exactly where we are. Also on this monthly, if we draw the line straight across from last month, you can see that it is sitting right on top of that. So that's been resistance and support. So keep a close eye on that 235 level. We're sitting right there at it. Like I said, probably going to be a lot of chop between now and tomorrow evening. And then once NVIDIA reports, the market will have a reaction, and then we can play it from there. So not a big deal. Don't get impatient. Don't panic. Play the levels as they're given, and you'll be just fine. Use them as your bull bear line. That's all you have to do. The ES, same way. Got up here to its R1, had resistance several times right here, as you can see it. And I'll zoom in just so you can see it better. For the whole month, it was resistance. We poked above. So here's all of your resistance. Big time resistance. Poked above by about 40 points and then continued to bleed. Red candles come in. And like I said, when you buy the indicator, you do get I give you these momentum candles with it. And it flushes, and we are trading about almost 100 points below that level. It's that easy. Just let the line do the work, and know if I want to be long and I'm bullish up here saying, hey, we're going to find target 2 at 79.51 because I believe whatever, that's fine. That's no big deal. Where you're wrong is when it breaks below it. That's when you get out and you say, you know what, if it gets right back on top of it, I can join the party again. But until then, I'm not going to be long, even if I am bullish. Okay. I'm just not going to do it because that 100-point drift down is not fun to ride. Just not fun to ride. This is not only money, but it's time. So when you're riding time, that's costing you even more money. Just use your line and get out. You're just fine there. And it will take care of you on that. Let's look at SMH, because we like to follow SMH as a key indicator. It had that beautiful setup the other morning live that, hey, we're right up to resistance. And that was your first open candle here, was straight down. And I was telling you, like I am telling you right now, hey, we were up to that level. We're not there right now. Pivot down here at 530.43. First major resistance, 578.67 on the monthly. Like I said, if you are throwing your weeklies on your chart, or you have this indicator and you're trading SMH, make sure that you have them side by side like I do. And I'll show this side by side because I don't put out the SMH levels. And here's my weekly, and this is what I'm talking about. In between the levels on the monthly on this left side, I can look over here to my right and see that, hey, we're running into resistance under a level right here. So like when I look at my monthly, this doesn't make sense why we're rejecting here. When I flip over to my weekly, I can see it plain as day why we reject. So keep that in mind. This is the screen that I run all the time. If you purchase the indicator, or if you have, you know that I set you up with this exact screen. We can change the colors or do whatever you want on the background. I just like it black, just so everything really stands out in front of it. But I will work with you directly through a video link and get you set up to where this works and show you how to use everything and talk you through it. That way you're not just blind on what's going on. So that's SMH. Another level that I don't put out is SPX. So let's look at it on both time frames here just to see how we're doing. The monthly rejected really clean right here. Once we gap down below it, that was your rejection at R1, just perfect. Like you can't make that up, right? And this is why the SPX is a little harder to tame. If you're trying to be long overnight, and then you get that gap down, at least it filled the gap and ran right into resistance at R1. Where are we running into resistance right now? The pivot this morning, we should open above that. So then we look for a retest of that S1, or the pivot, it's just miscolored. A retest, and then you could go higher potentially. But like I said, I expect a lot of chop because the whole way to the stock market says NVIDIA is all that matters. Let me maximize this scale or sell, and that way I can bring you the rest of it here. Let's look at oil. Like I said, oil's dropping, yields dropping. Yeah, oil's down 3%. So like I said, you don't want to fight the administration. They have levers they can pull that we just don't understand or know. And that is one thing that I've learned over time. Like, hey, those guys can manipulate everything they want through midterms. So just pay attention that they do not want the stock market down. They want oil down. They want interest rates down. So they will move heaven and earth to make that happen. Just keep that in mind. Don't fight it. I know that a lot of people out there are like, this is the dumbest thing based off of XYZ. Well, just keep in mind that you can do one of two things. You can either want to be right, or you can want to make money. So if you want to make money, follow the lines. If you want to be right, hold through pain, sit and argue with whatever. And I don't have a bullish or bearish lean. I just follow the lines. So oil rejected perfectly at R1. It breaks down. It's $4 below that now. No big surprise there. Let's see what gold's doing. I haven't looked at it today. See how the levels are working. I know that it had that big push up almost to the overshoot. We were hanging out. So I'm not going to short that just because we're towards the overshoot. That's not the way to play that. If it gets there, you can short against that line, which is about almost 100 points higher at this point. It got within about 35 points here. What you do is you watch for a break of 45.93 if it gets here, or a hold if you want to buy. So that was resistance, clean resistance here. Then it got above it. So if it gets here and it holds, you can buy that. just like it was doing here. Once it gets above a level, it holds, it gets up, it holds, it holds. You can buy it, you can ride higher. Same thing here. You look for a retest, because my only edge on any chart that I'm playing, whether I'm playing the 2-minute 4-hour pivot, I'm playing the 5-minute daily pivots, okay, the 15-minute weekly pivots. So that's just the time frames I like to run that style pivot on, or the 1-hour monthly pivots. And I need to put that on 1 hour. I had it on 30. Sorry. My edge is the line, period. So if we come down, retest the line and hold it, I can buy gold. If we get below it, I get out. It's very, very simple. And that's why I love the futures. They're forgiving when it comes to those metrics, because there's only 1 hour a day they're closed unless you hold through the weekend. So from 4 p.m. Central to 5, they're closed for rebalance on my side, and they open back up. So they're very forgiving in that fact. The 0DT, same deal. It expires at the end of the day. There's no risk of share assignment, so you can trade SPX or XSP. You don't have to worry about getting assigned shares, and you just let it ride, okay, based off of your levels and methodology. Let's go look at NVIDIA and see how it's doing, because like I said, everybody's waiting on the king to make a move. And let's just see where we're trading on the big levels. All right, so we got above. Let's go look at the weekly and see how we are there as well. We got above. We couldn't hold. We failed. Game over, right? We're down $10 from there. Not a huge deal. Let's look at the weekly. Yeah, so yesterday fell, couldn't get past the pivot on 215. So here's your weekly, right? Very simple. We're below R1 on the monthly over here on my left, above the pivot. So we're stuck out here in no man's land. What do? You throw your weeklies over here and you watch them for your major support and resistance. And then you understand why we are having resistance right here, is because it's at S1. Once we break it, it becomes resistance. Same thing yesterday, have the spike up, but then it dies. That was probably pre-market. It dies down to here. Well, the pivot is what's running into you at 215.53. Where's it find the exact support? Right here at 207.47. The lines do not lie. Okay. When that thing rips off that pivot down, this is your first opportunity to see if it holds. I love the wick. We just wick that right there, and then we take off. Perfect. We're not buddying up. We're not becoming friends like we did over here where we're hanging out. I don't like that look. I want a touch and go. I know right away if I'm right or wrong. So you get the touch and go. Guess what? This is a 15-minute chart. Within an hour, you're already up $2. So easy enough as that goes. And like I said, if you have the indicator, you can play anything you want. If you love looking at Tesla, NVIDIA, Meta, Amazon, Apple, you can do it all. It does all of it. And all you do is type in the chart, and then you toggle whichever pivot you want to look at. And then you can go back and study the historical on it, which is awesome. So you can go back and see exactly how accurate they actually are. So keep all that in mind. I'll continue to bring the 0DTE over there with, like I said, running it through the AI code and letting it cipher exactly, because it measures against all the filters that we have built and made off of the levels, and has all the historical data to do it, and tells you exactly your highest probability trade at that moment. Okay. The third hour, of course, you have a little more data on the day, but there's a lot of patterns there on that. Once that third hour closes, that really, it jumps the percentage by about 4 to 6 points. Okay. Which doesn't sound like a lot, but when you go from 89% to 95% trade, that's a big deal. Hour 2 is almost equally as good, but it's just about a 2 to 3 points lower. So I will broadcast that out, and I will post it exactly what the AI code says, the percentages, the levels of what you could sell, and your win rate, and what the gate needs to be to cover the spread. So I will post all that live as I run it, and you will have it. Yesterday there was a little lag. I was having a little issue, but today it'll be much quicker. Hey, this is what by 9:30 our time, this is the lean based off of the first hour. These are your statistics. This is where this first hour candle from here, based on what it did, will usually close the day percentage wise. So it will tell you. And then, like I said, that's kind of the lean. The second and third hour is where it really drills it down, and it gives you very, very good probabilities. So keep that in mind. And if you're trading futures, watch those posts and understand, hey, This is 93% a down day based off of these metrics, or 91% an up day based on these metrics. It closes above R1 72% of the time if we're above it at this time with this candle pattern. Keep that in mind. So if we're sitting above R1, it's probably not a time to really short if we only got a 30% chance of closing below that on the day. All right, so just learn to interpret that and use it to your advantage. Let's look at our last one that we have been monitoring, the VIX. And I've been saying it for a while. There's not going to be any watershed moments unless we get above this and hold it. And you can see we cannot get above it and hold it except for at the beginning of the month. We all know what happened there. Once we've gotten below it, it has been resistance, 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 1603. Know that level, put it on your chart, put an alert there that every time we touch it, it dings so you know to go look at it and understand that that's kind of our gatekeeper. As long as we stay below that, there's no real trouble in the water. We get above that, time to pay attention. All right, with that, message me directly. I have several that are purchasing the indicator and I am working with them directly. Just message me directly on Substack and I will set you up with a time, whatever works for you, and we will get you going on that and get these on your screen so you can populate them and understand how to use them and watch me every day on how I'm using them. Go back and study them and figure out what your favorite time frame is. Just because mine's the monthly and the weekly pivot, that doesn't mean that's yours. Maybe you're a scalper, maybe you're an intraday trader. You can use those to your advantage. All right, with that, as always, we will talk soon.